Good morning, listeners, and welcome back to the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ron Couming of RCS Technology Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs achieve even greater success by attracting, converting, and retaining their ideal customers and clients using various techniques and methods from the Internet. Today, the purpose of this show first, before I introduce the guest, the purpose of this show is we break it up into two, sometimes three sections, time allowing. And in the first two sections, I bring on subject matter experts from around the globe who will talk to you about their services and products that can help you, but more importantly, how they survive the uphill battle of being an entrepreneur, how they started, the trials and tribulations that they went through, and then give you some advice so hopefully you can avoid or at least minimize some of those. Our second guest today is Tara Carr. Tara Carr helps her clients figure out not only who they are and what they want to be known for, but also how to show up and deliver their message in a way that makes heads turn and always creates a killer impression. She is extremely dedicated to teaching you how to live life on your terms, build an unstoppable business empire, and most importantly, how to increase your income, impact, and influence on a daily basis. Tara, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. And where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Houston, Texas. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for blessing us with your expertise and skill set. But Houston, Texas, how's the weather down yonder?
It is nice and warm here in Texas. The weather here is just crazy. It goes from hot to cold pretty quickly, so a lot of us have allergy issues. So kind of suffering from a little bit of allergy cold, but the weather is nice.
Excellent. Boston's kind of crazy with its weather, too, and hopefully your allergies will subside. I read your bio, and I've spoken to you, and I think your bio is great, but I don't think it really captivates and conveys who you are, what you've done, and how you help people. So can you tell the listeners just a little bit more about yourself and who you are?
Yeah, definitely. So I like to call myself a serial entrepreneur. I've had several businesses, several startups that kind of led me into the coaching practice that I have now. But I started about 10 years ago with my first business, which was a clothing line. It was a brick-and-mortar store. And we had stockists kind of everywhere from Houston all the way to New York. And I did that for a few years when my children were young, and then quickly realized that I needed to travel a lot to keep my business growing, and I was back and forth. My husband was also traveling for his job, so it just didn't make sense for me with two young children to be traveling. So we eventually sold that business. So from there, I kind of turned my interest to online businesses because I was able to stay home with my children and be there for them every day and still make money online. And around that time, I started getting really into fitness. And so my second business that I launched was an online fitness business. And that kind of brought me into where the last 2 years, I was really interested in online business because I was able to scale and make things a lot bigger with online programs, coaching online, videos, that whole thing. And that kind of took off for me just recently, actually in the last 2 years. And that's my TaraCarrFitness.com business. And from there, I had women starting to reach out to me. They were clients, customers, people asking me to help them build their businesses, and that's where my coaching business kind of stepped in. So now I help women who are wanting to start their own businesses, who are wanting to scale their businesses, who are wanting to, not really sure what they want to do, but they know they want to make money online. I help them kind of figure out where their passion is, how they can kind of turn that into an online business, and scale it so they can make money and still be able to be home with their families.
That's excellent. I mean, you took what could potentially have been a career killer or a negative and kept your passion alive and went on creating another business, but just did it from the confines of your own home.
Yes. Yeah. It was really at the time when I had to kind of let my clothing business go, it was something that I was really passionate about and something that I was really struggled with it, but knew I wanted to also put my family in the forefront. So selling that business actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I kind of dove into the online world and did lots of learning, lots of courses and researching and figuring out how I could take my passion for entrepreneurship and turn it into multiple businesses online.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of online businesses myself, as you know, because I have one. But Warren Buffett is quoted as saying, he has many quotes, but one of his quotes is that if you don't learn how to make money in your sleep, you'll be working every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, definitely, and I completely resonate with that quote because there's a lot of people that have businesses that are basically trading your time for money. And if you can't figure out how to leverage that or scale that in some way, and for me, I'm real passionate about having multiple streams of income. So if one thing is maybe slowing down or something, or your passion even changes or your interest change, you still have things kind of running in the background, so you have that freedom to go and explore other passions, which is one of my biggest things because I am multi-passionate and I do have interests that lie in multiple areas. I'm really big on starting one thing and keeping the plate spinning while you can kind of research and see if there's something else that interests you as well.
If someone wanted to transition from corporate world or a W-2 world, just being employed into online business, what would be one of the first things you would suggest for them?
I like to tell people definitely research your passion. So if there's something that you would be doing if you wouldn't make any money from it at all, if there's something that you would do for free, definitely go down that path because that's something that you're always going to have a fire lit under you to keep growing. So while you're doing that, while you're figuring out your passion, there's multiple ways that you can start online. A really good thing is a physical product, so like something with Shopify. You can do an actual store site and have an online business or an online product that's making you money in the background, and you can do that through Amazon, Shopify, something that's not going to take a ton of your attention while you research what it is that you really want to grow and build.
I love that idea, too, because you got to eat while you're building your real dream. You still got to eat. And you don't have to necessarily build or create something. You can either be an affiliate and resell something that somebody else has already done, or you could take something that's already been done and then just modify it and make it better, sort of like Uber and Netflix and Airbnb.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a perfect model, and it takes a lot of the stress out of building your dream because everyone has a really deep passion, something that they're really passionate about building and making huge. And if you're stressed out because it's not taking off as quickly or it's not bringing in the income that you need right away, which most passion products take a little bit more time, it's great to have that revenue coming in from something else that's not going to take so much of your energy.
Yeah, and it's also freeing because it gives you, if your base, your rent, your food, your car payments, if that's all basically taken care of, you're not going to be stressing so much, and it'll allow you to be more creative for your other end, for the businesses that you're trying to grow. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely, and that's exactly it. And it's a lot of times, especially with women, they stay home and the husband's outside of the home working and wanting to start businesses. It's going to take some startup capital. It's going to take some of the family resources. So a lot of people struggle with how they can kind of use the family resources to start a business. But if you already have something and a lot of my clients, they start with things like network marketing, something that doesn't take a lot of startup costs. You can kind of generate some revenue to fund your bigger dreams, which is great because it doesn't put any stress on the household income, because financial stress within the home or within a marriage that can create problems too. And it's a reason why a lot of entrepreneurs throw in the towel because there's just too much financial stress. So I love for people to get something coming in so you can use that to fund something else.
Excellent. And the mindset stuff, though, when somebody's actually working and they're transitioning or they want to transition, how could you help them with that?
I think mindset is huge. It's something that I still work on myself. It's something that I practice daily, changing my mindset, my outlook, reading lots of self-help and motivational type books to really embody the mindset that it takes to be an entrepreneur. Because there are lots of ups and downs, and there are lots of setbacks along the way. But kind of figuring out who you are and like what you'll stand for and exactly what you want to be in this world, those kind of things are paramount in being an entrepreneur. And so it's the inside work is what's going to help you create the things on the outside. So a lot of my clients that come to me, the very first thing that we tackle is mindset, what it takes to be an entrepreneur, what's going to happen if something goes wrong, what are we going to do, A, B, C, and D. And we go through that in terms of maybe journaling topics, meditation, things like that that'll help you kind of understand yourself and what you want out of the world and what's going to happen if something were to go wrong, how you can address that without having to give up on your dream entirely. So mindset is huge. It's a huge part of being an entrepreneur. And unfortunately, people usually jump into being an entrepreneur before they figure out what they want and what they need to do on themselves. So it kind of works backwards. So I like to figure out what it is that you need and that you want and how you're going to get there, and then go try and build your businesses and make sure that you have plans for every single thing that's going to happen.
I love it. And that's sort of like our last guest was talking about having a solid foundation. And I think that's so vital. And that's one of the things, even like in my business, the internet marketing, you have to have a solid foundation to bring them back to like your website, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's funnels or social media or whatever the case may be. You need to bring them back to your website, and you need to build your business on your platform. I mean, just look what happened with Facebook in November or December when they changed how they were doing everything with respect to their business pages. When people build, like earlier, I think you mentioned Spotify or even Wix or something, if somebody is using their platforms, I don't click funnels, whatever the platform is that they're using, if they're using those platforms and the owners of those platforms change the rules, up the price, whatever the case may be, your entire business is at that mercy. So I really like how you talked about having a solid foundation. And one of the most important solid foundations is the mental and emotional aspect of it and having a contingency. And I also like where you were telling people, go into different fields where you're not going to tax the family revenue. And that brings in some safety, but it also brings in, it's less stress on the family. And what if somebody did try something and they lost 30 or 40% of the family savings, and it, affects the marriage. And so I really like how you were telling people what you were just talking about.
Yeah, that's huge for me because, like you said, the family income, that is, you don't want to put any extra stress on. Being an entrepreneur is stressful enough. So there's so many ups and downs, and just making sure that you've got your bases covered for everything that's going to happen. And you can't predict everything, but like you said, solid foundation is definitely key in making sure that you can kind of withstand the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And it is, statistics show that you'll go through several businesses before you find the one that's actually going to be the one that you stick with, or even be one of the ones that you stick with. And it's all numbers. I mean, I've had several businesses, and not all of them have been successful, but each one, I like to think, have layered on top of each other, and I can take things that I've learned from being a clothing designer or having my own products in an online store or being a fitness instructor, all of that kind of parlayed into what I'm doing now, and it all helped in a little bit of way. So I like to tell people, go out and try things, do things that you're inspired to do, and if they don't work out, just make sure you can take a little piece of that and carry it over into the next thing. It all kind of layers on top of each other. And eventually when you settle into the thing that's it for you, you'll be able to look back and see that all of these things that you've done, all the things that you've created, they've all helped to kind of put you to where you are now. So none of them are failures. They're just stepping stones, and they're layering your entrepreneurial journey.
I love it. That's huge. Because I think you're right, failure, you never fail until you quit. And like you said, you learn. Yeah, sometimes it's best to fail fast. Get out of something that, if for whatever reason, it's not going to work. It's not your personality. There's no market for it. Fail fast. Don't force something if it's not happening. Learn from it and move on, or modify whatever it is and move into something that will have a higher degree of success. But as long as you're learning from something like you just said you did from your different areas that you were in, you didn't fail or lose anything. It was a lesson. It's like you go to school and you learn something, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, that's it. I mean, there's lots of people go to business school. Lots of people do, college degrees. I actually don't have a college degree. I have a high school diploma, but everything that I've done, I've self-taught. I mean, I've taken courses. I've done a lot of research. I'm kind of an entrepreneurial nerd when it comes to going down the rabbit hole and figuring out how to marketing and all these things. But everything I've done, I've taught myself, or I've hired mentors to teach me. So I've had a kind of a crash course in business over the last 10 years. But my education in business and why I'm able to teach and give back to others now is because I've literally done it. I've gone into the trenches knowing nothing and figured it out for myself and built businesses from scratch over and over and over again. So I have a system now. And to me, I mean, I think it's great to have an MBA or to get education in business, but I think you really have to do it. You have to go in there, jump in with both feet. You have to fail in some instances. You have to figure out what works and what doesn't work to be able to really know, how things work and how you can make things move in the way that you want them to move for yourself.
Yep, and I think you touched on a very important thing, something I often tell my clients as well. When you're looking at hiring a coach or a mentor, I suggest, like you said, with the degrees and all that. I mean, I don't have an MBA, but I have several people who work for me that do have MBAs, right? Mm-hmm. So the MBA made them a great employee. It didn't make them a great entrepreneur. But, and that's fine. I mean, everybody, that's where they want to be. But when you're hiring a coach or a mentor, I think you want, and it's best, in my opinion, to have somebody who has been there and done that, because it's real world. They didn't read it in a book. They've experienced the highs and lows, the mental and emotional, everything that happened. And when they're conveying that to you, it's coming from real world experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things that you don't know until you're put in the situation how you're going to react. And there's no amount of test taking or preparedness that you can get until you're put in a situation when you have to make these types of decisions, and they either make or break your business. And so, having someone that's done it, that's been there, that's made the wrong decisions, that's made the right decisions, that's learned from them, and that has a proven track record. I mean, that's what I seek when I'm looking for a mentor. And I still have mentors and coaches because I'm always seeking to get better and to level up in my own, online or in my own education as far as being an entrepreneur. So, and those are the things that I look for when I'm looking for coaches or mentors for myself. I recently decided to get it into real estate as well. And so I know nothing about real estate, but I know it's something that I'm passionate about. I know it's something that I want to invest in. So my very next order of business is finding someone that's out there crushing it in real estate and saying, hey, teach me what you know. And always, always, always trying to evolve and find different avenues of creating income and wealth.
Good for you. Never stop learning. I want to let the listeners know that this episode, like all episodes, is archived on the radio station's website, 980WCAP. It's also .com, as well as my website, RCS Technology Solutions.com. Just go to Media tab and hit the drop-down menu, and you'll see radio shows. Tara, could you please give everybody your contact info?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is pretty simple. It's Carr.com, just my first name, last name.com. All of our programs, anything that's open for enrollment will be there. The blog is there, and then links to all my social are on my homepage. But I'm on Instagram, Facebook, mostly Instagram, but everything is kind of hubbed and archived at Carr.com.
Excellent. Even though, there's your foundation. Even though you're using other platforms, like you said, everything is on your website. I love it. Good for you. All right, so we have like maybe 2.5 minutes. Convey what would you like to convey to the listeners?
Something that I think is really important, and when I have anyone come to me that's either just starting out or maybe they've started but they're not really sure, where to go in their entrepreneurial journey, I like to tell them to just figure out what it is, and I might have touched on this a little bit earlier, but figure out what it is that you're really passionate about in terms of if everything stopped, the world stopped tomorrow, it's something that you would continue to do because it makes you happy. That's the one thing that's going to make you the most money, is because you'll do it and you'll be passionate about it and you will continue to push and work and learn towards that goal, even if things go wrong, even if, other things come up. It's something that you'll continue. It's something that keeps nagging at you. Whatever keeps nagging at you, whatever wakes you up in the middle of the night, whatever you're driving down the road and you find yourself thinking about, that's the thing, that's the path that you need to go down, and that's the path you need to research. For me, I did a ton of different things that were seemingly unrelated, but now I can look back and see that tug, that pull that I always felt was that I wanted to share knowledge. I wanted to help other women. I knew that I was good at building businesses. I knew that I was good at sales. I knew that I was good with people. And I knew that I could turn any passion into a business. And now I know that what was really tugging me and why I kept doing more and more and more things was that what I really needed to do was to teach other people how to do it. And that's the platform that I've settled into now, into coaching. So keep going,
Excellent.
keep pushing, and find whatever that pull is. That's what you got to focus on.
Excellent. Tara, you've been a great guest. People, if you're getting ready to start a business and you're not sure what to do, I would suggest you call Tara, or at least send her an email, connect with her. And if you're looking to level up and you're having some blocks, maybe you want to call her too. You've been listening to Tara Carr on the Internet Marketing and Business Solutions radio show with Ron Couming, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. Have a great week, everyone.